group.
After after Nordwind?
Yeah, after we got out of that half-mile gap and we regrouped, and the Germans had closed in the gap, they sent out outposts to see outposts, to see if they could spot any of them at night.
I think I'd be more nervous at that than...
Yeah. I was assigned to one outpost, two of us, and it was a trail that came through the woods there where they figured the German tanks would be moving. And someone, engineer something, had wired a huge trees there with this primacord, they call it, and you could set that off. It would cut the tree off. It would come down. And they needed somebody.
An explosive?
Huh?
Like an explosive?
Yeah, they call it primacord. You could wrap it around the trees, and then they'd strap some explosives to the tree on the fuse. And all they do is pull the fuse and take off. And that was enough to drop the tree. And they wanted to put up roadblocks for this. So two of us were assigned, and we had to go back in there quite a ways. Quite a long ways. And we went in there and into that position. They showed us where the position was. And in fact, I think either somebody that knew where this was took us in there, and then they left. So we stood there, and it was at night. And we stood there and we waited and waited. And they said if a tank start coming through there, just roll the tree and head out. Well, we waited and waited. No tanks came. And we waited and waited, and finally there was no one around. It was just perfect. You know, we didn't see anything out there. Never heard the tanks or not. And we kind of wondered, we weren't getting relieved. They weren't getting relieved. We fired japers. So how long are we going to be out here?
Just usually a couple hours.
And finally we were standing and we were watching go around, and we had a big fallen tree, and it was kind of a shelter, and that's where we hung out. And they said if we hear tanks, we're going to run out of there until we had some protection. Pretty soon we see a guy coming from behind us. You could see him in the snow on the ground. And he was dodging from one tree to the next, zigzagging. And we watched him. He's coming from the back, so we figured it might be one of our guys, you know, that was going to come to relieve us. And this guy, he came up to us. We let him. We watched him. You know, he got close, and I think he had the password and everything. It was an officer, which wasn't our platoon leader. I can't remember his name. He was the second lieutenant. And he was all shook up. He said, "Come on, get out of here right now," he said. "Follow me." And we took off, and he had brought a jeep up quite a ways. And he said, we got in the jeep and took off and headed back for our own area as fast as we could go. And I didn't even know him. And he told us they had sent out a patrol to go and pick us up. And the patrol came back, said we couldn't find them. I don't think they even went that far.
Yeah.
They just came back. And here this one guy came by himself and picked us up.
Jeez. How did he know where you were?
I don't know. I can't remember how he knew where we were. But I thought to myself, by gosh, that was pretty good of him to come out alone.
Yeah.
But we watched him for the longest time, and he was coming back toward us. He's zigzagging between trees. You know, he'd go behind one tree in a shadow, and then he'd run to another tree behind a shadow. Then he'd run, and we could see him every time. We kept watching. And we thought they were going to relieve us because somebody had coming up.
Were you
He never said. He got close enough. He said, "Come on, get the hell out of here." He said, he took off running. He said, "Follow me." And as we took off running and went up back through the woods, and he had brought a jeep up quite a ways.
I mean, could
Get
you...
in the jeep. We took off, headed back. We got back to our own positions. And I remember we hadn't eaten for a long time.
Mhm.
And our company commander was in the house. And we went in there, and they had to scratch up some, I didn't think they brought up some food for us. And I remember he was in it, and he was just sitting there looking at us for a long time. He didn't say anything.
Who was that?
Our company commander was
Oh, yeah.
there. And we were a little bit annoyed. Because
Yeah.
if it hadn't been for one guy, they'd have just left us there up there. And we couldn't leave your post. We'd have stayed there, by gosh, we took till they counterattacked and came in there.
Uh-huh.
No way, you could not leave. If you left your post, you were really in trouble. And we were really getting concerned. And there was just a plain foul up where these people were supposed to come and pick us up. The other patrol was supposed to go out there, and they said they came back and reported in, and they told us back there, and they said they couldn't find you. I said,
You wonder.
I was going to say, I don't think they went that far.
Yeah.
I think those guys went other ways, and they just returned back, and they said, we never saw them. If they'd have been close to us,
Uh-huh.
because we saw this lieutenant quite a ways back. And
Well, now, how far?
coming right in saying anything, and I kept looking at him, and I suppose he figured that he didn't know what to say.
Now, if there's somebody coming from a distance, I mean, how close do they have to be for you can spot whether they're enemy?
But so you can hear them, not too close if they've got a password.
Uh-huh.
You have to have a password when they come out there.
Uh-huh. So this guy had a password then.
Mm-hmm. They had it.
But from a distance, you couldn't tell.
Blue.
From a distance, you
Blue.
couldn't. From a distance,
gray or something, you know.
yeah. From a distance, you couldn't tell.
No way you could tell.
I mean, by uniform or helmet or anything, or
It was dark. It was the night.
Yeah.
It was kind of moonlight. You could see in the woods.
yeah.
And I was trying to think of the guy who was with me. And we were standing there talking, and I said, dang, what are we, how long are we going to be here?
Yeah.
I mean, we figured they'd forget about us, and I can't remember. They went out pretty early and it was dark, and we spent a big part of the night up there.
There's supposed
And
to
I
be.
figured it was daylight.
There's supposed to be a couple hours.
So we all said, if something happens or not, we figured out there's a big tree fell over and it was underneath, and I said, we're going to dig in under the tree and we're just going to stay there.
Yeah.
Period.
Jeez.
Well, that was at the same time Operation Nordwind. And they were probably
so you were
post some other places. It wasn't they weren't only. They maybe sent them out in other places too.
This was after you regrouped.
After we had regrouped.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had regrouped, and then we sent out patrols again.
Yeah.
To watch these roads to see if the tanks were coming up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they came up later, but they didn't come while we were there.
Yeah.
Fortunately.